As you may have known already, my buddy and I, Travis, are putting on a conference here in South Florida. It's all about motivating and inspiring visionaries, folks like yourselves, to take action on your dreams, the passions, the big things that you have brewing in your mind that you've been afraid to do. We want to help you to do it. We want to help you to do big things. At this conference, we have 12 speakers, folks who have done it. People who have gone through the same struggles that you have acted on their big thing, whether that's to create their own business, start a charity, or just to turn their hobby into their full-time gig. It's phenomenal to hear people's stories like that, and we're going to have this conference here in South Florida. I know a lot of you can't make it to South Florida, but we do have a virtual ticket. It's not going to be live, but it gives you an opportunity to get access to all of the recordings of each session. We want to help motivate and inspire you to do big things. Go to dobigthings.net to learn more. Again, dobigthings.net. Sales from the street. All right, now you know this is a great episode when I come out here with the sales from the street, man. My guest today is Therrion White. He's a CEO, owner of his own company, and he's all about going out there and hustling, doing whatever it takes to make things happen, right? Met Therrion down here in South Florida, early part of the year, and we discussed about having him come on a show to share some thoughts with us on the sales from the street. You're going to love our discussion. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist podcast. I'm your host, Donald Kelly, the Sales Evangelist, and I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. As I mentioned in the teaser, Therrion White's going to be our guest on a show today of this episode of Sales from the Street. And I love these episodes, man, because it brings people like you and me on the show. People who are, approachable, right? I mean, all my guests are approachable. They've all been very nice. But some people are just, they're authors, they're really famous, they're doing their thing. But, someone down there like you and me, Therrion, he's out there hustling, going through some struggles, finding some success, seeing good things. And he's able to share with us thoughts and insights, what's working, what's not working, so you don't have to go through those pitfalls. That's why these episodes are so much fun. If you have one of those stories and you would like to come on the show, feel free to drop me a note, man. Send me an email, donald@thesalesevangelist.com. donald@thesalesevangelist.com. Me or one of the teammates will get back to you and to help get you scheduled on a show. Would love to have your stories. Now, before we dive into the episode, I have to give some shout outs, right? So I want to give a shout out to Kristen Fox. Thank you so much for connecting and for the ad. Also, some folks out there in the Twitter world. Jack, thank you always for sharing the great goodness, man. Also to Founding Sales folks. Thank you so much. Steve Ford, thank you so much for connecting on Twitter. Also to Gabe, keep hustling out there, Gabe, Isaiah, and Cheryl Oliver. Thank you guys so much. Mike Scott, Carol, and the folks over at Spent. I really appreciate the support, the connection, the share, the love out there on the Twitter world. So keep doing your thing, man. If you'd like to connect with me like these fine folks and get a little shout out, just feel free to reach out to me on Twitter, Donald C. Kelly. You can find me on LinkedIn as well, Donald C. Kelly. You can find me on Instagram, Donald C. Kelly, or you can go ahead and connect with me on our Facebook group. It's called the Sales Evangelizers. We have a LinkedIn group as well called the Sales Evangelizers. Both places provide an opportunity for us to come together, connect with other like-minded folks, sales professionals, entrepreneurs, people who are doing their thing out there selling, maybe coming up on challenges, or just want to find folks they can form strategic alliances with. We've been able to see some folks do some business together, and it's awesome that that's happening within our little community here. But check it out, the Sales Evangelizers. Don't be shy. Go in there and introduce yourself and start connecting with people. Jump in some of the conversations. I don't want to take up much more time. We're going to go ahead and dive into our episode today with Therrion. Take us out, Mr. DJ. Welcome to the show, Therrion.
Hi, good morning, Donald. I'm happy to be here.
Man, I'm excited to have you, man. I love these episodes. Sales from the street. But these episodes are awesome because I bring on folks like yourself, like myself, who are out there hustling. We all come across different challenges, different issues, and it's interesting to see what different sellers are doing to combat some of those challenges that we have and that we face. But before we dive into all of that fun stuff and get into your story, why don't you tell us a little bit more about what you do, bro?
Okay, well, I own a company called Play It Safe Technologies. Play It Safe Technologies basically is a healthcare IT solutions company, but we pretty much focus on mobile med cards. So as the adoption rate of electronic health records has increased amongst healthcare entities, our business has grown. What we primarily do is specialize in point of care mobile computing devices. So for those of you who may not know what that means, I'm sure you've probably gone into hospitals and you've seen clinicians push around computer carts. That's pretty much what we sell. And we also provide solutions to support those devices, such as, we offer extended warranty plans. We provide upgrades, maintenance for them. And also we can provide technical resources to support, deploy, and configure them as well. So
you're that guy. I was in a hospital over in Wellington visiting someone, and it was like one of those, it was like a techno savvy cart, man. They had all kinds of cool stuff on them.
Sure. Yeah. That's what we do. Sure. They can be configured and customized based on clinicians' needs. So.
Well, that's cool, man. Well, I wanted to talk about, this is when we met in Florida, when you were down there visiting Florida, and we were at a conference, and we were talking about cold calling, particularly, and how that was a challenge that you've had. And I can say almost every seller who is listening to this have had some kind of challenge with cold calling at one point in their life. It's something that you do a little bit in your business. You have other means as well to generate a business opportunity. But we want to talk about this cold calling challenge that you had, and how it was a thorn in your side and how you were able to overcome that. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about it? What was the big struggle you faced when you started looking into cold calling or doing cold calling for your sales team?
Well, I guess it's kind of interesting. I mean, for me, there are different types of cold calling. I mean, there's a cold calling I did early in my career where you'd actually go in, and I have pretty much an extensive career in medical and healthcare sales. So I remember my first job out of college, I sold DME equipment. So, I basically cold called on physicians and discharge planners in person. And also I've done cold calling over the phone. And the funny thing is that I really didn't mind cold calling in person. It didn't bother me as much. And I think with a lot of people, you think that the cold calling on the phone would probably be the thing that they would have the least amount of apprehension about. But for me, that was probably the most challenging. And I think because initially when I first started cold calling, it was very repetitious, and I didn't seem to get a whole lot out of it because early in my career, I wasn't really smart about it. I just get on the phone, dial, and, hopefully be able to have a conversation with someone. And, the likelihood of that occurring was pretty much little or none. And then, when you do get someone on the phone, it's challenging to make sure you have the right person and whether or not that person has the time to actually have, a discussion with you. So those are the challenges I faced early on in my career. But I think as time went on, I got a little more strategic about it. And
tell me about that. What do you mean you got strategic? What did you start doing?
Well, one of the things I started doing is kind of learning some of the practices of the actual people that I was trying to contact. For instance, like now, I mean, I still do it. One of the things I realized is that, when you do cold calling, it's almost like sports. I mean, the analogy I like to use is kind of like, you want to be a good salesperson, you really have to know the basics. So it's just like when you play basketball, you have to learn the fundamentals. You have to learn how to dribble. You have to learn how to shoot. You have to learn how to, play defense. All that goes into making a well-rounded salesperson or a basketball player. But I consider cold calling one of the fundamentals that you have to know as a salesperson. So for me, I started learning more about, number one, planning in terms of having specific objectives in mind. And number two, kind of learning more about the patterns of the people that I'm trying to contact. For instance, most of the people that really have the purchasing power or have the authority to acquire our products are typically, more C-level. It's usually at their direction. My typical audience, it's CIO, VP of nursing, IT directors. So what I have to learn is that, when was the best time to call them? When was the highest probability or likelihood that I'd be able to actually reach a person on the phone? So what I started doing is that learning that, typically the best time for me was actually early in the morning and late in the evening. So, I would become a lot more productive and have the opportunity to have more conversations with people probably between 7:30 and 8:30 than I had previously from, 8 to 12, because typically those people on those levels are in the office early. You can get to them prior to their admin coming in, and there's a lot of times they'll answer the phone directly. So those are some of the things that I started to incorporate in my strategy of cold calling to kind of overcome some of the challenges. and also having a specific objective in mind when I talk to these people as well. Because a lot of times, I have to make sure that instead of just offering a lot of information that, I kind of state the reason I'm calling, ask if they had a particular challenge and ask for some input on, what they had started to do to actually overcome that specific business challenge that they were incurring.
This is interesting, and I like what you stated there. It spoke a lot about fundamentals. You also spoke a lot about making sure you have a clear objective. And I feel sometimes as sellers, when we do cold calling, we think we're just going to get them on a phone. We're just going to, hit them with a 1-2, and we're going to close this sucker. But it's important that you recognize there's a game plan and that there's a difference between just like truly cold calling and winging it as opposed to going in prepared, right?
You're absolutely right, Donald. And I think, had someone imparted that knowledge on me years ago, I probably have a lot more money than I have now. But you're absolutely right. I mean, it took a while for me to actually learn those valuable lessons, but it certainly has paid off.
Here's something. Can you tell us a story about one of those cold calls you made that just went so appropriately, it went so well? You called, you did your research, you called and you executed and you landed an appointment. Do you have any stories like that you would like to share?
Oh, absolutely. One of my best clients, actually, it's actually a hospital not in Maryland, not too far. Well, not too far from where I live. It's on the Eastern Shore, but, just doing some general prospecting. And one of the objectives I had was actually to kind of see whether or not any of these hospitals had specific medical carts that were either old or they were trying to refurbish or had some need for repair. And I actually called a hospital and actually got to the IT administrator. She was actually, she's the administrator for the CIO, and introduced myself and basically told her who I was and, what I was looking for, whether or not, in their department, they had any opportunities where they needed some medical carts refurbished or upgrade. And she actually said yes. She said, as a matter of fact, I'll put you through to exactly who you need to speak with. And so she actually put me through to one of the directors in the department who handles technical and field services. And see, in the hospital, the challenge for them is that, which is actually helping my business, is that a lot of these devices are new, and most hospital field support people aren't necessarily trained to repair these devices. They end up having to do it because they're technical support. So it's more or less on the job training for them. And as a result of my conversation with him, I found out that they had some old carts that they were in the process of actually retrofitting with some new computers, and that they were actually looking for some support to do that. So out of that one call, I was able to land a contract with them to help them actually retrofit the old carts that they had with new all-in-one computers to deploy them. So I had a person on site at that hospital for about 4 months just as a result of that, one call.
That is so cool, man. Congratulations on that. And I think it all ties back again to what you said, being prepared, going in there, having like that focus, having that knowledge, and you knew what questions to ask to see if you can gain more opportunities, and that's phenomenal. So from what you're sharing with me, it sounds like what you're saying, some people say cold calling doesn't work. I feel that it does. I don't think cold calling is maybe the most important aspect of our sales,
Sure.
prospecting opportunity. We can use several different ways. I'm sure if you got a bunch of referrals, you'll be fine with that, right?
Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt.
But it's definitely a component that you can utilize maybe
Sure.
until you get to that status or you get to that level. And I think there's each of our industries and our business may have a different way of being the most effective means to generate prospects. And also,
Absolutely.
we have each of us as individually, your personality. I just had on Wednesday this last week, interviewed a guy. He's coming on a show pretty soon, but he spoke about the same idea that we as individual sellers are different. Some people may be fantastic at cold calling, some people may be fantastic at creating events. But either way, the end goal should be generating more opportunities for your business, and you just have to find what's best for you. So I love this one, man. It's great. Thanks so much for the insight you shared with us.
No, I mean, I've enjoyed it, and thank you for having me on here. So I really appreciate it.
No problem, man. If folks out there want to get in touch with you, want to get connected with you, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Well, the best way to connect me, of course, is you can actually call our office. It's 301-202-3464. We have a website as well, and it's www.playitsafetechnologies.com. That site is up, but it's actually in the process of being revamped as well. Or you can also send an email to info at playitsafetechnologies, it's plural.com.
Awesome, man. Well, I sure appreciate that. We'll put that information in our show notes. So, folks, if you're driving, if you're at the gym, don't have to jump on the treadmill right now. We'll put that stuff on our website so you can get access to it, man. Thanks so much for coming on the show, man. We really appreciate you.
Dono, thank you very much for having me, and I appreciate it as well. And I hope you have a great day.
Will do. I told you Therrion's going to bring us some goodness. I wish you great success out there with the business. Therrion, as you're hustling in the medical field, I know you're going to find great success as you keep doing what you're doing, man. And if you have a dream like Therrion and you want to put that thing into action, I'm telling you, man, reach out to the man, ask him some questions, learn from him because he's clearly doing it. And I know you can definitely do it as well. And if you need further help, check out dobigthings.net. That's our conference. It's all about motivating and inspiring you to take action on your dreams and to do your big thing, whatever that is, whether that's to start a business, whether that's to be a ballerina, or whether that's to travel the world. I don't care what your big thing is. Everyone has a big dream. Let's put them into action. Stop sitting back and letting it go. It's time. Today is your day. Go to dobigthings.net. Check it out. If you'd like to get connected with Therrion as well, just go to our website, thesalesevangelist.com/the-word episode, the number 394. Again, thesalesevangelist.com/the-word episode and the number 394. As always, I want you to be successful. I want you to be happy. But most importantly, I want you to go out and do big things.